Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was in Kuroko's basketball's universe, part 1, subscribe if you enjoy the video, let's start the story. Kai's was never one to mope around too much. It just wasn't his style. Whenever life kicked him hard, he always made sure to bounce back. It was simply the best way to solve your problems, is what he thought. This time was different, though. This time, he couldn't just bounce back. Not after suffering his first defeat in a long time. It was like nothing he had ever felt before. He could still remember that moment, that single moment that marked his loss. It just kept flashing through his head over and over again. It had already been 2 days since the practice match, but that feeling wouldn't go away. Man, this is just a pain. Not even immersing himself in practice had changed his mood. Kai's was really hoping that this wasn't permanent. He had a championship to win. Even if Kuroko had turned him down and consequently defeated him, Kai's hadn't lost sight of that goal. He had a promise to keep with the others too, after all. There's also Kagamiki to worry about now too. Seriously, things have gotten really complicated lately, haven't they? At least it kept things interesting. Kai's only wished he was in a better mood soon. With all these thoughts flooding through his head, it was no surprise that Kai's walked aimlessly on his way home after practice. He was only able to snap back to reality when he noticed that he was by the same street court he and Kuroko had spoken to just days prior. It was darker than that day, and there was no one playing street basketball this time. No jerkwoods either. Yes, jerkwoods. But there was one person playing basketball all by his lonesome. The person was also blonde, just like Kai's, but his hair was messy and spiky. He was also shorter than Kai's by a few inches. If Kai's had to guess, he would say this blonde was about Kuroko's height, maybe a bit taller. He also had some very distinct markings on his cheek that gave him a very animalistic appearance. His moves drove that animal-like image home, as Kai's bore witness to some very quick and agile movements from the unknown blonde. The orange hoodie he wore did nothing to stop the team from moving rather swiftly through the court, almost like he was playing an entire game in his head. If Kai's was being completely honest, it was like he was watching Ammon play. It just had that unorthodox feel to it. It made Kai's want to play basketball, a drive which he had lost for the past 2 days. Dropping his bag by the entrance to the court, Kai's walked up to the stranger while trying to contain his eagerness to play the guy. Hey there. You got some pretty interesting moves. The unknown blonde stopped mid-shot and turned to Kai's, his face somewhat blank. The blonde lowered his arms but kept his hold on the ball. Thanks. I was just doing some practice runs. I saw some guys playing earlier and I got curious. You mean you don't play for a team? No, I don't. This is my first time holding a basketball too. The guys from earlier must have forgotten it. That's why I was sorta curious. Kai's had to stop himself from gaping at his fellow blonde. This is your first time playing and you're already that good. Am I? The blonde chuckled somewhat sheepishly. I have no reference for this kind of stuff. I was just doing what felt natural. Kai's eyed him before making up his mind. He took off his uniform jacket and tie and tossed them next to his bag. What are you doing? Isn't it obvious? Kai's turned to face the newcomer. I want to face you one-on-one. See how good you really are. Well, I don't mind, but I really don't know any of the rules of this game. Just that you had to get the ball in the basket. No worries. This isn't a legal match. It's just between us. Kai's was really interested to see if his suspicions were true, so there was no way he was going to let this moment pass. The other blonde just shrugged. Alright then. The two got into position, with Kai's on defense and his new opponent with the ball. Kai's uniform wasn't the best thing to be wearing for something like this, but he wasn't going to let that slow him down. The two teens eyed one another as the whiskered blonde dribbled the ball in a calm manner. It was rather fitting, as it signified the calm before the storm, as it were. Then, it happened. Kai's couldn't really describe with proper words what happened, just that the whiskered blonde was suddenly on the move. It was almost like his whole body had been trained for speed. He blitzed right past Kai's, who was unable to react until a second later. Well, that might have been bad for most players, Kai's wasn't most players. He was still able to catch up to the whiskered blonde, stopping him from going straight to the basket. This didn't deter the blonde for too long, though, as less than a second later he was cutting back, dribbling the ball to his other hand to move in the opposite direction. Kai's reacted accordingly and followed, sticking close to the blonde. He wasn't going to let this guy score that easily. It was exactly what the blonde had wanted. He did another cut, stepping back for the second time and showing off his quick reaction time in the process. Kai's made to follow, but found that he was slower to react this time. At least, a lot slower than the shorter blonde. It showed Kai's exactly what the blonde had been going for, and that was to use his faster reaction time to put some distance between the two of them. It wasn't much, but it gave him the opening he needed to go for the point and get the dunk in. Kai's eyes shined in admiration. Holy, that was amazing. You totally got past me, just like that. The part of him was annoyed at this, but another part of him was extremely excited. This guy was good. He was the real deal. His movements were even better than Kagami's. To top it all off, his moves weren't that complex either. It was a pretty straightforward drive, but his speed was more than enough to make it work. The other blonde rubbed the back of his head. Well, thanks. My physical prowess is the one thing I can take comfort in. Physical prowess. That was an odd way to put it. Kai's didn't dwell on that for long, though, as he placed his arm over the blonde's shoulder. You said you didn't play for a team, right? Few eyebrow raise. Yeah. My school doesn't have one. Then how would you like to come over to Kagem High and change that? What are you offering me, a spot on your team or something? Of course. You're seriously good. The least you could do is give it a shot, right? You say that, but… Come on. It'll be fun. Kai's went for his stuff before asking him, what's your name by the way? Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki, huh? Kai's nodded. Izumakiki. Naruto sweat dropped. Uzumaki. Anyway, you totally need to come. Kai's pointed at him and winked. We will hold practice after school tomorrow. I'll pick you up if I have to. That's how determined I am. You don't have to go that far. Naruto sighed and finally relented. If you're that serious about it, then fine. It's not like I have anything else going on in the afternoons. Kai smirked. Alright, it's decided then. A promise between you and me. Yeah, a promise. Naruto wasn't as enthusiastic, but whatever. He was still going to give this a shot, if only to see what came of it. That, and he had promised. The coach for the Kagem High basketball team had noticed something of an oddity in his star player ever since the practice match with Saren. He was confident his player could bounce back up from the defeat and hand Saren a loss in the upcoming tournament. What he hadn't expected was for Kai's to be all bubbly and excited the next day. Do I need to ask what's wrong with him? The team had gathered in the gym to start their practice for the day, including the first string. Kasamatsu, the captain, just shook his head. Your guess is as good as mine, coach. He's been talking nonsense all day. Moriyama, the woman finder expert, gasped in realization. He must have found a girl so cute that his brain has gone haywire. At least take this seriously, Dumbus. The excitement in Kai's is admirable, I say. Hayakawa, the team's ribbon guy, said with equal excitement. The others still couldn't really understand him that much, but that was neither here nor there. The coach sighed. Whatever. As long as he's good to practice, then. Wait a second, coach. Kai's finally returned from his La La Land to face his team. Someone special is going to be joining us for practice today. Huh? Kasamatsu frowned. What are you talking about? If he invited one of his fangirls here, there would be hell to pay. Kai's puffed out his chest, looking proud. I actually scouted someone for the team yesterday. His proud look shattered as Kasamatsu delivered a swift kick to his back, knocking him down to the floor. What kind of bullshit is that? Kibori, their final first-string member, and the straight man in their comedy routines, chuckled in light amusement. I think you might break him if you hit him that hard. That didn't matter right now. The coach crossed his arms. Kai's, what are you talking about? But before the part-time model could explain, the doors to the gym were opened and another certain blonde took his first steps in. He was dressed in his school uniform, which consisted of a black blazer and pants with an orange t-shirt underneath. If Kai's had been paying attention, he would have realized his new friend had a certain affinity with the color orange. There he is. This is the guy I was talking to you about, coach. Just talking about it is more like it. Nevertheless, the coach and the rest of the first string studied the blonde as Kai's started to drag him toward them. Nakamura, who had been part of the first string before Kai's had joined, didn't exactly look all that impressed by the newcomer. Is Kai sure about this guy? Kasamatsu was thinking along the same lines too. What could this guy do that had impressed Kai so much to bring him here? The coach studied Naruto for a few moments longer. You say you want to play for this team? It was more like Kai's had dragged him here, but Naruto wasn't about to say that. He'll totally blow you away, coach. And Kai's was still excited about the whole thing. Well, that was Kai's. Always brimming with excitement when it came to basketball. The coach still wasn't buying it. In his mind, this was a waste of time. But if he could get his ace more motivated, then so be it. Alright, fine. We'll test him. Have him. 2-on-4. The coach paused, as did the others. Huh? Eyes grinned. Me and Izumakiki against the others. That should prove to you what I'm talking about, right? Moriyama twitched a little. It feels like we're being underestimated here. Kasamatsu had a tick mark over his head. Yeah, it really seems like it. These first years have quite the ego on them, huh? It's not like that, Captain. Kai said while trying to placate the older teen. It's just the best way to show you what I mean. Naruto stood back, not really caring all that much about what was decided. He had no stake in this. Hasamatsu had to sign and give Naruto one final glance. If you say so. Just don't end up regretting it later. Kai started to grin again. Don't worry, Captain. I won't. The others in the team were whispering among themselves as they watched how the first string got themselves ready for another practice match, only this one was more bizarre than the last one. Naruto, who had come prepared and was now in slacks and a t-shirt, stood on one side of the court with Kai's, while the rest of the first string stood on the other side. Is this really fair? Naruto wondered. Or does this happen all the time in basketball? I don't think it would ever happen in a real match. Kai's thought about it and then shrugged. But this is just for practice, so we can be more loose with the rules. Is that so? That's good to know. The coach stood on the sidelines, watching everything with a keen eye. He still didn't buy that this Uzumaki Naruto person was anything special, but it was still worth keeping an eye for. If the Saren match had taught him anything, it was to be more cautious of the unexpected. The ball was tossed over to Kai's, and Naruto, the former, grabbed it. The four in the first string got into defensive positions as Naruto and Kai's started to move forward. It was Kasamatsu who went for Kai's first, applying pressure to the ace of the team. Kai's was very much having fun. I think this is the first time I'm really going out against you, Captain. Shut up already and play. Kasamatsu just wanted to see what Kai saw in this new guy. Kai's didn't reply, choosing instead to let Naruto's skill speak for the blonde. Speaking of the Uzumaki, he was ever so slowly moving closer to the basket as Hayakawa marked him. Moriyama and Kobori were underneath the post, looking ready for anything. It came for them quickly as Kai's managed to pull off a fake against their captain, who was right on Kai's heel. He wasn't going to let Kai's have a chance to score a shot. Except that wasn't Kai's intention at all. The model threw a pass to Naruto right before he got past the three-point line. Naruto caught the ball with ease and Hayakawa glared at him. Bring it. I won't, I get you to get past me. Naruto didn't really understand the slur in his speech, but he decided to ignore it in favor of driving past the taller teen. It was here that the coach started to see the first glimpse of what Kai's was talking about, for Naruto was able to dribble past Hayakawa before the brown-haired teen knew what was happening. At speed he's even faster than Kai's. Having gotten past Hayakawa, two more obstacles stood in between Naruto and the basket. Moriyama and Kobori. The two teens were shocked by Naruto's speed, but that wasn't going to stop them from defending the hoop. Naruto didn't mind this. It was the first time he was facing opposition like this, and he welcomed it. It had been a while since he had been able to have this much fun. The Uzumaki went for the jump straight away, surprising everyone else further. The lane up, if the coach had been able to keep the shock from his face before, he couldn't do it now. Moriyama and Kobori jumped together as they tried to block the shot. Except the opposite happened, with Naruto dunking the shot right through them. The two defenders were shocked further by this as they came falling down to the floor of the court, both on their asses and gaping up at the blonde who had been able to score right through them. What the hell? Kasamatsu was just as surprised. This Uzumaki Naruto wasn't tall, nor did he look to have the muscles of someone who could do something like this. And yet, it had just happened. He had made a dunk right through two defenders and made it look easy. Again, what the hell? Even Kai's felt more surprise rush him. He knew Naruto had speed, but power too. What a deadly combo. Naruto looked at the two Fullin boys and lent them a hand each, his face apologetic. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to put in that much strength. Handling the ball is still a bit difficult for me. He wasn't known for restraint, after all. Kobori and Moriyama accepted the gesture. Don't worry about it, Kobori said, smiling a bit. You're good. Looks like we were the ones underestimating you. Moriyama was on the same boat. Yeah, it really surprised us there. It's all good. I don't exactly radiate power. Not anymore. Eyes gave Kasamatsu a smirk. See? Didn't I tell you he was good? Even if he was right, the way he said it still annoyed Kasamatsu. The coach was more focused on this interesting turn of events for them, silently wondering if this was a sign from the gods of what's to come. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. There is still a lot to do before that. As he thought this, the rest of the team started to gather around Naruto, all of them congratulating him. Kai's was at the very center of this, slinging his arm around the Uzumaki again and laughing. It was a chance meeting, but one that would have very strong implications for the future. Lady Kagamichiko, widow and owner of one of the biggest and most prosperous pharmaceutical companies in all of Japan. Her husband had amassed quite a bit of wealth with his company and now it was all hers. A fact that might make many people very happy, but not her. She might have the wealth and the power, but it came at a terrible price. As mentioned, she was a widow. But her pain didn't stop there. Not only had she lost her husband, but she had also lost her son. Both died in a terrible car crash. The two most important people in her life had been taken away from her. No money in the world could replace that. It was after that that the woman had taken to locking herself in her home. Said home was close to a mansion really, not that it changed much for her. There, she spent her days doing nothing but staring into space, her eyes dead. She left the company in the hands of a board committee, which had been chosen by her late husband in cases of emergency. The company was hers, but she didn't run it. She had no desire to. She had no desire to do anything anymore. She was in her 40s, but many said she was still very beautiful. That she could still find someone new. Start over. She never could. It was in this state that something miraculous happened. Just as quickly as her family had disappeared from her life, so too had someone else entered it. Uzumaki Naruto. The boy had been found by several of her staff in the garden of her mansion. The boy had been terribly burned and his clothes had been in tatters. It was almost like he had been in a war zone or something. While this appearance was shocking, this didn't deter her from providing the boy with medical aid, all paid by her. Something in her had sparked the moment she had laid eyes on him. At the time, she didn't know what it was. Now, she knew it was her instinct, as a mother. The thought of letting the boy die, to let another mother suffer the same despair she couldn't allow that. She had stayed by his side during his recovery, which had taken a few months. But alas, he had awakened. And with no memory of where he came from or how he had gotten inside her home. He only knew his name, and nothing else. It was saddening to her, as she knew no person should ever have to lose the memories of their life like that. She also didn't want to think of the boy's family, what they might go through because of his absence. Regardless, she had offered the boy her support. To fully recover from his burns, to get back into society, and through it all, she had formed a bond with him reminiscent of that of a mother and her son. A part of her thought it was wrong, that she was only pushing her feelings on the boy. The rest of her didn't care. Perhaps this was just fate telling her that she didn't need to be alone. Either way, she took this opportunity to be a mother again. Naruto became her family. It was like Kagamichiko was reborn. Life returned to her eyes, and she became more interested in the company again. It was only possible because she had Naruto in her life. Uzumaki Naruto would remain Uzumaki Naruto, however. He would not change his name. It was the only thing he had from his memories, and he didn't want to lose that. In the end, they both helped one another and were able to stand firm in the face of the despair life had thrown their way. It was only possible because they had one another. This was the beginning of Uzumaki Naruto in this strange but exciting new world. I can't believe you ditched me yesterday. That's 2 days in a row. Do you want me to report you to Kaguya-sama? The fact you call her Kaguya-sama is weird enough, Yuki. Don't change the subject, Naruto-kun. I'm really mad at you right now. Naruto sighed. He had really been dreading this talk. It's part of the reason why he had been hiding from his only friend, Sugawara Yuki, all day. The girl was the same age as him, both 17. She had short dark purple hair and icy blue eyes, which got even colder when she was mad. It was a quick way to make sure that he fell in line when she wanted him to do something. Most of the guys said she had a good figure, with her breasts especially catching the eyes of many at school, even through her unflattering school uniform. Not that Naruto would know anything about that, mind you. He was no pervert. That's what he told himself anyway. Even though he called her his friend, she was also technically his maid, hired by his mother to keep an eye on him. It was a long story, with Yuki's father having worked for his mother's now deceased husband. The man had helped Yuki's family through difficult times. Yuki's father now served his mother, which all led to Yuki becoming his personal maid in the present time. Naruto had no idea if this was just something rich people did, but that's how it was with him. She had been made his personal maid because of her age, so she could be with him even at school. Naruto had complained to his mother about this, that he didn't need to be coddled. She hadn't listened to him at all. Mothers were just stubborn like that. Anyway, even though he was technically her boss, the two teens didn't behave as such. Their relationship resembled that of really close friends, with everyone at school remarking that they should just get married already. High school teens could be really annoying like that. Speaking of school, it sucked. It was torture for the blonde to be sitting in a desk for most of the day, listening to people tell him about stuff that he honestly did not care for. He honestly had no idea how he had been able to survive in such a place before losing his memories. He needed action, excitement, not boring school lessons. Something sorta interesting came up, okay. I wanted to deal with it on my own before coming to a decision. And it was interesting enough for you to skip school. Okay, it came up after I skipped. But still. Oh, boy. She was really glaring at him now. When she got like this, Naruto knew he was going to have to take her out to make her happy again. Good thing he knew her weakness. Sweets. She had a real sweet tooth on her. You're not getting into any trouble, are you? Surprisingly, she didn't yell at him. Her face turned somber, her tone soft. Naruto sighed again. Honestly, he would have preferred the yelling over this. Because this meant that she was really worried about him. All because she knew about his resentment toward his memory loss, which only made him have a bored outlook on life. School had no interest for him, neither did anything in the city or life in general. For Naruto, it was like he was floating along without any real goal in mind. Yuki didn't like that mentality. It's not like that. If you want to know so much, you can be there when I tell Kachan about my decision. Yuki suddenly grabbed him by the sleeve of his uniform, stopping him. Naruto looked at her in confusion, not understanding her actions. It was only when he saw the desperate look in her eyes that he understood. I'm sorry if I'm annoying. I just don't want to see you waste your gifts like this. Naruto almost snorted. What gifts? I'm not smart. All I got is my athleticism, which only makes people think I'm some kind of freak or something. The blonde was almost afraid of what he could do sometimes. He didn't know why or how, but it was almost like he was superhuman. It was yet another aspect of himself that made him stay away from other people. He was just too different from them. Yuki and his mother were the only ones who saw him. But even so, just who was he? That was a rabbit hole better not explored. I hate when you say that, Yuki denied. You know you're more than that. If you only showed focus on something, you'd see what I'm talking about. Something, huh? Naruto hid his smile. You might be right about that. It was Yuki's turn to be confused. What? Naruto grabbed her by the arm and pulled her along this time, still hiding his smile from her. Just come on. You'll see what I'm talking about soon enough. Yuki followed along, curious to know what her friend was talking about. You want to transfer to Kagem High? The disbelief in his mother's voice was clear, not that Naruto could blame her. It was the first time he was asking her for a favor, after all. Yuki stood next to him, equally confused as his mother. Naruto just nodded. Yep. Coach said the paperwork would come soon. They said something about wanting to make sure he was a part of the team before the inter-high started, whatever that was. Honestly, there was so much to basketball than he thought. The Chico massaged her forehead, her brown hair flowing down to her back. Her caramel eyes bored deep into Naruto's, trying to see if he was serious about this. He didn't normally come see her in her office, so this was definitely not on a whim. But still. Why Kagem? Your school now. I want to play basketball. The words came quickly, and they were said with confidence. Michiko stared at her son further before glancing at Yuki. Did you know about this? The girl quickly shook her head. And no, Kaguya-sama. I'm just as surprised as you are about this. And that was the honest truth. I came to this decision on my own, so you don't have to worry, Naruto said. It wasn't exactly the truth, as Kai's had all but roped him into the team. But Naruto wasn't complaining about that. For the first time since waking up from the hospital, Naruto found something to be excited about. He wasn't going to let this opportunity go. They always said teenagers are the spontaneous type, Michiko said under her breath. Naruto simply rolled his eyes while Yuki lightly tapped his shoulder in disapproval. Rolling your eyes like that was just not proper, especially at your mother. The widow tapped her fingers on her desk as she thought about the situation before finally speaking. I can't say I fully understand your decision for this, but this is the first time you seem to be excited about something. I can't let you lose your drive now that you've finally found it, so I accept your decision to transfer schools. Naruto was grateful, and it showed on his face. Thank you, Kachan. You won't regret this. The woman smiled. No. She didn't think she would. Who's the hot babe with you, Izumakiki? That's the first thing you say to me? Seriously? I don't know if I should slap you or not. You didn't answer the question. She's my friend, now stop talking. But she's a babe. The others in the team were all amused when Kai's practically hounded Naruto the moment he walked into the gym. This was because of Yuki standing next to him, said girl just looking plain confused by the whole interaction. Hasamatsu had to calm his beating heart a little, though. He wasn't all that good around girls, being too shy when it came to members of the opposite sex. It was his one true weakness in this world. He could get Kai's in line, but not talk to a girl. Such despair. I'm glad you came. Their coach, Takeuchi Genta, smiled as he shook hands with his new player. I was surprised with how quickly you sent back the paperwork, but that saves us a lot of trouble. Naruto should be the one saying that. The man hadn't wasted any time in contacting his mother and sending her the official paperwork for his transfer into Kagem High. It would still take a few days for the transfer to be official, but he was pretty much a member of this team now. It's no problem, coach. I'm more than happy to be playing with you guys. Right. Kai's, forgetting about Yuki for now, gave his fellow blonde a wink. You'll be able to fight with us now. The others won't know what hit them. The others, huh? Naruto had a feeling that Kai's was referring to someone in specific, but he didn't question it. For now. Well, there's a lot to do, Kasamatsu said as he joined the conversation. He did his best to not make eye contact with Yuki, lest he start tripping over his words. You say you don't know anything about basketball, right? Yeah, well, about that. Naruto pulled out his phone, where he showed the captain message after message that he had gotten from Kai's, who had pretty much stolen his phone so that he could put his number in. Kai's explained a lot of the rules to me and even recommended some books for me to read. I can't say I know everything yet, but I think I have a better handle on it now. Wait a second. Yuki suddenly interjected, looking at Naruto in disbelief. You're telling me you read books, you never read books. Only manga. And Naruto wasn't ashamed of that one bit. Yeah, well, books suck. I'm with you there. Kai's nodded along, also thinking the same about books. If it's not about basketball, books are boring. You only say that because your grades suck, Moriyama pointed out. School is boring, okay. That was Kai's defense, and he was sticking to it. It was Naruto who nodded along to Kai's words this time. Yuki could only sweat drop. Dear God, there's two of them. And they were both blonde too. What was this world coming to? Well, come on, people, let's get started. The coach turned to his team. We have a lot to teach our new member and not much time in which to do it. We have the Inter-High to win, let's not forget. The Inter-High. The place where Naruto would have his shot to play against all the best schools in the country. For some reason, that got his blood pumping. What about you, miss? Kai's looked at Yuki while putting on his most pleasant smile. Are you going to stick around? Yuki nodded. Yes. It's my job to look after Naruto-kun, so. Kai's felt a stab go to his heart and fell to his knees. So it's only for Izumakiki. I see. I've already lost, huh? Naruto really wanted to hit him right now, but thankfully Kasamatsu did that for him. He instead approached Yuki. Are you sure you want to stay? You do have your own club after school, don't you? Yuki smiled. Don't worry. I already told them I wasn't coming today. Besides, I'm rather curious to see how you do here. Naruto was actually motivated about something. There was no way she was going to miss this. Not just that, but if Naruto was transferring schools, that meant she was too. She was more interested in seeing if she could make new friends around here. Also, I brought you a snack. Yuki pulled out a bento from her bag. I made it in my club, so you can practice as hard as you want. It'll have you back on your feet in no time. Naruto was hooked. Yuki was practically the best at cooking. No one could beat her. It's why she was the star member in the cooking club in their school. She prepared his lunch for him every day, which only made every other boy in the school hate him for it. Yuki was that popular in their school. Not that Naruto paid too much attention to such things. She even cooks for him. Kai's fell to the floor once again, looking even more devastated than before. This time, he wasn't alone, as Moriyama was also mortified. She's a total of 10. At 10, I say. But nothing can be done. It's like the heavens are playing a cruel trick on me. Naruto and Yuki both sweat dropped on this. Was this team really okay? Kasamatsu was close to beating the two of them into a pulp by this point. Let it be known that there was never a boring day at the Kajin High Basketball Club. To say Yuki was amazed was an understatement. It was a well-known fact in their school that Naruto never got along with anyone. It wasn't because no one wanted to hang out with him, but because they thought he was unreachable. But the way Naruto acted, always sleeping in class or disappearing during breaks, he certainly didn't help stop that image. It just went back to the blonde being bored. He didn't care about anything, so he didn't pay any attention to his surroundings. But here, today, Yuki was able to see a different side to him. He was actually trying at something and having fun while doing it. The others were the same too. Practice was tough, but none of them were complaining. It was the opposite. They were smiling and enjoying themselves, Naruto and Kai's in particular. Even someone like her, an outsider, could see how quickly the two were becoming friends with one another. It was like they were communicating through basketball, if that made any sense. As confusing as it was still a beautiful sight to the girl. The others in the team were more concerned with the plays the two blondes were coming up with on the spot. It's like they could read each other's minds pretty well. This is the first time I'm seeing Kai's play so well with someone else, is what the coach was thinking as he oversaw the first day of training with Naruto on their team. This opened a lot of possibilities for the future. Practice ended on a high note, with everyone in high spirits. Well, they were, until Kai's and Moriyama collapsed in despair again when they saw Naruto eating the bento Yuki had prepared for him. Everyone else just sweat dropped at the sight. Yuki was simply all smiles and rainbows. You did great, Naruto-kun. The blonde looked away, hiding his blush. Yeah, I guess so. It was fun. More than fun, I say. Yuki tilted her head. I wonder if I could join the club too after we transfer. Kai's joined them, his face full of surprise. You're joining Kagem too. Why? Yuki didn't understand the question. Because Naruto-kun is. She said it like it was the most obvious thing in the world, which it was. To her. Everyone just stared at the two. She's that devoted to him. Lucky bastard. Naruto twitched a little. I get the feeling they just misunderstood something here. Whatever. He didn't care enough to correct them. Besides, if it meant less people were hitting on Yuki, the better. Well, you're always welcome to join, Kobori said with a pleasant smile. I'm sure the coach wouldn't mind some more helping hands during the game. Yuki smiled more. Great. I'll definitely do that then. Are you sure about that? Naruto scratched his head. If it's just for me, you shouldn't force yourself. Yuki shook her head, her smile still present. No, it's not like that. I just want to see you do your best. That's why it's no problem for me. Is that so? Geez, how much did this girl want to see him try his best? It was embarrassing. Alright. That's enough of that. A ticked-off Kai's pulled Naruto into a headlock. It's not fair if you're the only one getting some love here. It really pisses me off. Naruto was about to fight back but stopped when Kai's loosened his hold and offered him a small smile. Do you have time after practice? There's some stuff I want to talk to you about. Did he now? It's not something stupid, is it? Izumakiki, that hurts my feelings. Naruto doubted that very much. Still, he wasn't about to turn the invitation down. Not when something in his gut was telling him that this was indeed serious. He sighed. Fine. We can grab something to eat while we talk. Eyes blinked. Didn't you already eat your girlfriend's bento? Girlfriend? Yuki looked away to hide her blush while Naruto shrugged. Yeah, but that was just a snack. I'm still hungry. How are you not fat? Naruto shrugged again. Yuki and his mother had been asking the same thing for a while now. It was just another mystery that would never be solved. How are you not fat? Don't be so loud. I want to enjoy this moment. Enjoy what? I'm starting to regret inviting you here, Kais. The trio found themselves in a small ramen shop which was more like a stand than anything else. It was completely different from what Kais had imagined when Naruto said they were going to dinner. You really shouldn't fight it, Yuki said, exasperated. He loves this place. We've had to limit the amount of days he can come here per week, but it hasn't done anything to stop his appetite. You're speaking nonsense, Naruto scowled. No one could separate him from his ramen. That sure didn't stop his mother and Yuki from trying, though. Welcome. The three teens made themselves comfortable in the little stand, the sky already dark outside. To Naruto, coming here after practice brought a greater sense of satisfaction than usual. He had worked hard today, so this felt like a reward. You know, eating stuff like this on a daily basis isn't good for an athlete, Kai said with a shake of his head. He was still trying to understand how he got here. Eating ramen for dinner wasn't great for a model, damn it. I haven't even been an athlete for a week yet, so cut me slack, Naruto grumbled. Yuki rolled her eyes. Not to worry, Kai-san. I will make sure Naruto-kun starts eating more healthy from now on. She was taking his side too. You have a very caring girlfriend, Izumakiki. Naruto felt like he should correct that, but decided to get right to the main conversation of tonight instead. So what exactly did you want to talk to me about? Or was this just an excuse to ruin my ramen eating time? I didn't even know you liked ramen till now, Kais muttered. He put that aside. But no, that's not what this is about. I wanted to talk to you about something regarding basketball. War rules. No. Not that. It's something more interesting. Interesting? Naruto placed his order, as did Kais and Yuki. What is it then? Have you ever heard of the generation of miracles? Nope. So quick. Kais exclaimed. But it was the truth. Yuki hummed as she tapped her cheek. I feel like I've heard something with that name before. Naruto wasn't surprised. Yuki was more social than he was. Kais's head dropped, a cloud of despair reigning over him. You guys are making me cry over here. I already told you I didn't know anything about basketball, Naruto said, not understanding what the big deal was. Yuki almost jumped out of her seat. I remember now. Some girls were talking about them in my club. Wait, them? They're supposed to be this really strong middle school basketball team, Yuki explained when she noticed Naruto's questioning stare. They were from Tekken Junior High. They should be in high school now. Yes, that's right. Kai's eyes began to sparkle. I knew you wouldn't let me down, Sugawara-chan. Thanks. Yuki didn't understand, but Kais looked happy. So that was good. And again, I ask, what's the big deal? Naruto said as he scratched his head. Kai's sweat dropped. He was going to have to spell this out, wasn't he? He sighed softly. I'm one of them. One of the generation of miracles. Naruto and Yuki looked at one another before staring at Kai's, who was looking at them with anticipation. Were they supposed to react a certain way here or something? Another cloud of despair settled over Kai's. You guys are seriously gonna make me cry. I apologize. And Yuki meant it too. I just don't really know enough about basketball to understand what you mean. Nor had she cared until Naruto got interested in the sport. Kai's chuckled as he rested his head on his open palm. You guys are really similar, aren't you? I guess I can see why you're together. Naruto just shrugged while Yuki tried to hide her blush again. We were the best team in middle school, Kai said, bringing the conversation back to focus. No one stood a chance against us, and we won 3 consecutive championships because of our skills. But that's also what made basketball very boring to us. We had no motivation that could drive us forward. At some point, we weren't even friends anymore. Victory was the only thing that connected us. That sounds very lonely, Yuki said, her eyes downcast. It doesn't sound like you guys were even a team. Well, I guess that's true too. Kai's had to admit that much. We won every game, but it also felt like we lost something too. That's what Kuroko said anyway. I still don't really get what he meant, but I feel like I'm starting to understand it better. Oh? Naruto was surprised. Kai's didn't seem like the thinking type, very much like him. But that was just a front. It was another thing they had in common. What about the rest of your teammates? Yuki asked, curious. They went to different schools, like me. That's the thing I wanted to talk to you about. Kai's looked at Naruto. We all made a promise. To face one another in the court again, only this time, as enemies. To see who's really number one. That's why I want you to take part in that fight too. Kai's and Yuki never expected to see such a determined look on the boy's face. He was being serious about all of this. It really meant a lot to him. Naruto was more straightforward with his thoughts. I don't know what you expect from me, but if what you're telling me is to play basketball with you, then I'm all for it. You aren't the only one who's experienced boredom, Kai's. Yeah, I could tell. I still remembered the first look he saw on Naruto's face when he met him on the street court. It told him all he needed to know. Naruto grinned. Then we understand one another. Kai's grinned back. I guess we do. To help one another with their boredom and with their ambitions, it was very clear what they needed to do. Yuki had to roll her eyes. They were leaving her out of something here, but whatever. Boys would be boys. The first week of training continued this way, with Naruto familiarizing himself more with the game and what not to do. It was a slow process at first, but he was getting the hang of it. It was during this time that Yuki officially joined the basketball club, as well as the coach's official unofficial assistant. She did whatever she could to help the team, like bringing them all drinks or fresh towels and even preparing snacks for them to give them that extra push during practice. The team considered her their princess, funnily enough. The princess in blue, that was her moniker in the club. This only made them growl more with jealousy when Naruto got special treatment from her. Kasumatsu still had a tough time talking to her, though, much to Yuki's private amusement. It was at the end of this first week that Naruto and Yuki both officially transferred over to Kagem High. Which led to Naruto complaining about the uniform on the first day of class. Why the hell do we have to wear these things? He was referring to the tie, of course. The rest of the uniform didn't help lower his ire either. It was like he was going to a corporate meeting or something. Stop being such a baby, Yuki scolded him. She had a gray skirt unlike the trousers. Other than the tie that she had to wear too, it wasn't much different from the uniform of their old school for her. You don't have to tie the tie so tightly. Besides, you're going to have to take over the family business someday. I suggest you get used to wearing suits and ties. The thought of doing that was enough to make Naruto shudder. Don't even joke about that. And anyway, I have you. I'm sure you can handle all that boring crap for me. Yuki paused at that. Her, taking care of the company. But wouldn't that be like she was Naruto's partner? Wait, was this she thought it was? A proposal. A marriage proposal. Naruto's sweat dropped when he saw steam coming out of the girl's ears, her face totally red. I don't get her. What's this? Flirting so early in the day. You're gonna make everyone around you mad with jealousy, you know. Naruto gave Kai's a flat stare as he walked up to them, also clad in his uniform. You have a weird imagination, Kai's. Hi, Kai's gave the two a once-over. Seeing you guys like this really makes the whole thing feel official. Shut up. How can you even wear this stupid thing all day? Naruto growled as he pulled on his tie again. It's not so bad. Kai's winked. It's really stylish. Although I wish we had a better color. Naruto sighed. He forgot. Kai's was a part-time model, so of course he would enjoy crap like this. Whatever. Do you need something from us? This floor is for the second year, you know. Ouch. Do you not want to see me or something, Izumakiki? If I say yes, will I be able to take a nap faster? As Yuki slapped him in the back of his head for his bad manners, Kai's laughed it off. You're really a funny guy, Izumakiki. So blunt. I kinda like that. Naruto grinned. I like that about myself too. Yuki wanted to fassip him right about now. Don't encourage him. You'll only be feeding into his bad habits more. But they're good habits, Yuki. You know that. I'll believe that when you start learning some manners, Naruto-kun. Manners? Overrated. My news is simple, Kai said, still amused. We'll be switching things up for practice today. Consider it my declaration of war, if you will. Declaration of war? Naruto raised an eyebrow. Yeah, I don't get what you're trying to say. Oh, you'll see later during practice. The model walked around them and waved them goodbye. I'm really looking forward to it, Izumakiki. Naruto watched him go and scratched his cheek. He's weird. Yuki poked him on the side. You don't have any room to talk. I'm starting to think that you can only become friends with weird people. Then what does that make you? She smiled. The exception to the rule. Naruto pouted. She always had a good comeback ready for everything he said, didn't she? Smart Yuki. Very smart. Anticipation had slowly been building up inside Naruto as the day progressed. Kai's was obviously planning something and he couldn't see what it was. This only made him lose even more interest in his classes, much to Yuki's annoyance. Good thing she couldn't slap him in the middle of class. Hooray for education. In that one instance. And yes, they were in the same class. His mother made sure of that. When the two arrived for practice that day, they saw exactly what Kai's had been planning. The practice match. Yuki said out loud, looking lost. Yeah, it was Kai's idea, Moriyama said. Something to spice things up. Those were his words anyway. You can't really trust what he says anyway. Kibori pointed at Kai's, who was having a small stare-off with Naruto. His true motive is clear as day. Yuki understood what he was trying to say. Kai's wanted to play against Naruto. Naruto understood this too. So that's what your big idea is all about. There's no reason to lie, so yeah. Kai's wasn't afraid to admit as much. I want to face you to see who is better. His blood was telling him that Naruto was like the rest of them, like the generation of miracles. That's why he needed to do this, to test himself against him. Naruto was more than ready to meet the challenge head-on. Hasamatsu, who stood next to the coach, crossed his arms and sighed. I can't believe you allowed this. The man grunted. It's only natural. Kai seems to be eager to face Uzumaki. If the two of them can grow from it, I can't complain. You know as well as I do the type of competition we will be facing soon. Yeah. The other generation of miracles. Those monsters. Hasamatsu sighed again. Might as well get the show started then. Yuki sat next to the coach as the two teams were picked. The first string was divided equally. On one side were Naruto, Moriyama, and Hayakawa. Nakamura was also with them, as well as a different player also from the second string. On Kai's side was Kasamatsu, Kibori, and two others from the second string. Naruto and his team were clad in white, while Kai's and the others were in blue. All of this was planned, huh? Naruto looked around at the others, who all shrugged. I didn't know anything about this until now, if that makes you feel better, Moriyama said. He was being honest too. Kai's hadn't included them in this little plan of his. Only he and the captain had known. Probably. I'll still win this match, no problem. And of course, Hayakawa was his usual energetic self, with no one being able to understand what he was saying. Well, scoring a victory against Kai's here would feel great, Nakamura admitted. He wasn't all that close to his junior, after all. He wouldn't say he disliked Kai's, but he didn't outright like him either. I'm not going to be getting my hopes up, though. Naruto cracked his neck. There's no need to say anything. Let your skills do the talking for you. Of that, they were all in agreement. I smirked as he locked gazes with Naruto. That's precisely what I want. Come at me with everything you've got. Naruto smirked in return. Let's just hope you don't end up regretting it. The air around the two started to shift into something more potent, more stimulating. Even Yuki was able to sense this and it made her feel a bit uneasy. She had never seen Naruto or Kai's like this before. Hasamatsu sighed at this. Stupid fools. This so-called practice match was going to turn more serious than that, he could sense as much. It was time for Naruto and Kai's to go head-to-head with one another. You're doing the tip-off, Uzumaki. Kibori looked at his junior with surprise. Naruto didn't have the height for something like this. Naruto smiled. Don't worry about me, senpai. I'll make sure to keep up with you. Kobori gave him a flat stare before looking over to Moriyama, who just shrugged. Naruto said he wanted to do it, so they were letting him. If he failed miserably, it was all on him. "Ah, you really are crazy, huh, Izumakiki?" Kai said with his trademark smile. Naruto didn't respond. On the sidelines, Yuki already knew who she was cheering for. As much as she liked Kai's, Naruto meant more to her. For some reason, Kai's felt like pouting. Another player from the second string stood in between Naruto and Kobori as the tip-off was set to commence. There were only a few more moments of silence, with Naruto and Kobori sizing each other up. Then, the tip-off was a go. Naruto and Kobori both took to the air at the exact same time, timing their jump perfectly. But it was Naruto who got to the ball first, taking off faster than Kobori, even though he was shorter. He's got great power behind those jumps, the coach thought, recognizing this. It wasn't airtime, but just plain explosiveness. But that was of no surprise. Naruto's whole body radiated power. Naruto tipped the ball to Moriyama, who caught it with ease. Aiz wasn't surprised by this and quickly made for defense while the rest on his team did the same. Asamatsu covered Moriyama while Kobori went closer to the hoop. "Don't think we'll be going easy on you now," Kasamatsu said as he and Moriyama faced one another. The playboy smiled. "I don't think our aces would like that very much." Asamatsu just grunted in acknowledgement. No more words were said as Moriyama made to dribble past his fellow third year, a task that was easier said than done. Kasamatsu proved his worth in this area, keeping close to Moriyama at all times. With such a tight defense, Moriyama was hard-pressed to get around him. There's no way I can compete with the captain here." When it came to dribbling, Kasamatsu was one of the best, second only to Kai's. Knowing this was a losing battle on his part, Moriyama went for the pass. The receiver of that pass was Naruto, with Kai's right on him. The whole gym quieted down when this happened, knowing that they were about to see something rare. Two very highly skilled players facing off, who could carry a whole team if need be. Naruto versus Kai's. Kasamatsu scowled a bit. "Did you have to do that so quickly?" Moriyama was all smiles. "Well, they're the ones most eager to play this practice match, so it only felt right." True enough, Naruto and Kai's were glaring heatedly at one another, ready to move at a moment's notice. From the sidelines, Yuki swallowed. "This is the first time I'm seeing them go head-to-head like this. Who would win this?" The coach kept quiet as he watched his two star players. The tense air lasted only for a second longer before Naruto made his move. Just like in the park a week ago, Kai's found himself on the receiving end of another set of unpredictable but rapid moves. "This guy, he's gotten faster," Kai's thought as he tried to keep up, but with a quick crossover, Naruto was able to get past him. "Damn it, it's like I feared." Kobori jumped to stop Naruto, but the blonde was able to dunk through him without hesitation. It was almost like Kobori wasn't there. More importantly, "Is dunking all you can do?" Nakamura shouted at the blonde, who chuckled sheepishly. "I like dunks." What more could he say? Honestly, that's like the exact opposite of mid-Oramaki, Kai's thought with a slight grin. Kasamatsu came up behind him with a slap, scowling. "Why are you grinning like that, idiot? He got past you, you know." "Those hurt, Captain." Kai's flinched before settling back down again, looking excited. "Yeah, he did. The way he moves, it reminds me of the person I look up to. I guess that's why I want to take him on today, to see how I measure up. I have to defeat him." Kasamatsu let out a small miles per hour. So that was his motive, huh? "Just don't embarrass yourself, and we'll be good." Kai's wouldn't dream of it. The ball was live again, Kasamatsu leading the charge for his team for the counter-attack. "Let's go, Captain," Hayakawa shouted as he marked him this time. So riled up. Kasamatsu sighed internally before settling into one of his quick drives, dribbling the ball too fast for Hayakawa to keep up. One man isn't going to be enough for the captain. Nakamura had been expecting this, which is why he was already standing by to come in for a steal after Kasamatsu went straight for his fast drive. After all, once Kasamatsu was on the move, he didn't have the reaction time necessary to stop himself from being flanked. The trick was getting around him without him noticing, which is exactly what Nakamura managed to pull off. "What?" Kasamatsu nearly shouted when he noticed he lost the ball, courtesy of Nakamura, who was already heading for a counter. The boy wasn't one of the best defenders in the league for nothing. That said, Nakamura found trouble by the net as Kobori was already there, ready to defend. Shooting it now would-be threes weren't his specialty, but going for a rebound wouldn't be such a bad idea either. They had Hayakawa on their team, after all. That gave him enough confidence to shoot and was more than happy to see himself score the three-pointer. "Not bad," the coach muttered, glad to see that his team was tackling new horizons. Even if this was just a practice match. Yuki just sat in silence for now. "Looks like we aren't the only ones who are all fired up for this," Kai said, chuckling. Naruto agreed. The bowl was in Kasamatsu's hands again, only this time he wasn't going to make the same mistake as before. Instead, he went for the pass, giving it to Kai's with Naruto standing guard this time around. Another one-on-one Moriyama stood near his mark, watching the two blondes in anticipation, as did everyone else in the gym. But the ball in hand, Kai's went in aggressively, no real plan in mind. There was no need for that. This was a battle of emotion and raw strength. Naruto kept up with the taller blonde, using his lower size for better flexibility. But in the end, that proved to do little good as he was hit with a familiar move. The double crossover he had pulled on Kai's the week before. Naruto went wide-eyed at this as Kai's got past him and delivered a powerful dunk of his own, dunking through the unnamed second-string member of Naruto's team. Kai's touched down on the floor while giving Naruto a small feral grin. Don't think this will be as easy as before, Izumakiki. Or else, you'll be left behind. Naruto was still wide-eyed, shocked to see his own moves turned on him like this. Kai's Kasamatsu was more surprised than shocked. Kai's had already revealed to him that he couldn't copy Naruto's moves, something that had shocked him at the time. According to Kai's, this was due in major part because Naruto was too unpredictable for that. But over the week, Kai's had been working hard to change that, observing Naruto as much as he could during practice. And now, he was already beginning to show the fruits of his labor. Yuki had her eyes wide too. It was almost like I was seeing another Naruto-kun on the court. How incredible. The others just watched on, not sure what to say or think. The shock eventually left Naruto's system, and his burning desire to win only skyrocketed. You've really done it now, Kai's. This practice match was only starting. Thanks for watching my video, sayonara.